everyone, welcome to today's tutorial, and in this video I will be covering a tool called the filters. Now, the filters, as the name suggests, helps you to enhance your image or enhance your pattern a lot better and makes it a lot easier for you to design document. For this video, I will be using this A4 size document, which is 210 millimeters by 297 millimeters. The orientation will be portrait, and I will give a name to my document, filters. Right? So feel free to use any of these documents provided by Adobe Illustrator, or you could customize it even further by providing in the value in the width and the height option right here. So let's begin. Right. So before I start with the filters, I would also like to remind you all to make sure that the Essential Classics options has been switched on from this drop down box below. Then only you will be able to see all these tools on your screen. Right. So now the filters are here in this effect option on the top menu. Right. So as you can see, there are two types of filters. First one being the Illustrator effects. So these are the various kinds of effects that Illustrator provides, and the Photoshop effects. So don't worry, in case if you don't have Photoshop installed on your desktop, you can still use these effects, right? So now I will be working with the first effect, which is the revolve, right? So as the name suggests, the revolve will make your design into a 3D figure, right? So let's start by creating our shape. So I'll go to the pen tool right here, make sure that there is no fill, and for the stroke, instead of black, I'll choose the color red. Okay, so let's make our design. So you could make anything you like, or you could stick to the same design that I am making. So something like that. I'll take it a little forward and make it work there. Yep, something like that. So now I want this shape to be revolved, right? So I'll select my shape, go to Effects, 3D, and Revolve. So this box pops open, right? So don't be scared. There's nothing to be nervous about. So for this cube right here, this basically showcases how you want the positioning of your 3D shape to be, right? So this depicts all the sides of your shape. So if you play around with this, you can decide that, I want my 3D shape to have a slight of an angle like that, right? Yeah. So for the revolve, I wanted to have 360 degrees like that. Wanted to revolve 360 degrees. And for the surface, I'll stick to plastic shading and click on preview. So as now you can see, our shape now gets revolved like that. So this is a solid color, plastic shading, and with slight shading like that. So instead of the plastic shading, if you click on no shading, it will look like a solid color like that. But if you click on wireframe, this actually shows the insides and the intersection of your shape, right? So you could either stick to that, or we could just stick to plastic shading. Right, now this left edge option right here. So now if you're in the left edge, you can see the hollow portion right here. But if I click on the right edge, it becomes solid like that. So I'll stick to this and click OK. So I'll also resize this to make it a little smaller like that and stick it here on the top. Right. So let's try another one. So instead I'll make a shape. I'll stick to the polygon tool, and this time I don't want any stroke, but I would like a fill. So instead of red, I'll choose yellow, and I'll make a really small polygon like that. So now that my shape is still selected, I'll go back to Effect, 3D, and click on Extrude and Bevel. Right. So if we just click on Preview like that, we can see that a polygon now becomes a little 3D. So I can play around and adjust my positioning from dragging this cube, and yeah, that looks about right. And now for the bevel, what it does is that it will add some patterns to the edges of your polygon, right? So for now, there's no bevel at all. So you can choose any of these and you can see that a pattern is added, right? So in case if you can't see it, from plastic shading, we can click to wireframe, right? Or just clicks to diffuse shading. Diffuse shading and plastic shading are very similar. And now, if you want to make it hollow, we can click on the turn off cap like that. So of course, we can play around with the bevel as well and see that these options provide different kinds of designs on our polygon like that. So whichever one you like, you can stick to that, and we click OK. And there you go. Now for the last Adobe Illustrator effect that I will be showing you is the zigzag right here. Okay. For that, we have to first make a line. We click on the line tool and make a straight line like that. So I'll also choose the color of my line. Let's take dark blue this time, and also increase the stroke weight. So by default it was 1. Let's make it to 4 to add thickness. And I'll remove the stroke. I don't require that. Right. Wait. Stroke weight. Right. So we click on the line. Go back to Effects. Distort and Transform and Zigzag. So if we click on Preview, you can see it becomes into a pointy zigzag pattern like that. That's because the corner option is chosen from the points option here. But if you want to make a much smoother and a wavy line, we can click on Smooth. So like that, if you play around with the ridges per segment and the size as well, you can decide how big or how curly or how wavy you want your line to be, right? And that's it. So this was the zigzag option from Adobe Illustrator effects, and that's it. So of course, I highly recommend that you also play around with the other effects as well from these Illustrator effects. So now let's move on to the Photoshop effects, right? So for the Photoshop effects, I highly recommend that we use an image, right? So let's do that by going to File and clicking on Open. For the first effect that I will be showing is, I'll use this image, this pile of skulls, right? So this automatically opens into a new document. If your image is really big, it's okay, you can stick to a new document. But if your image is small, something like mine, we can just drag it back to our original document like that. So of course, feel free to use any type of image you like. It can be of yourself, your family member, your friend, or even a scenery, right? So I'll also make 2 copies of these images. So I'll select the image and click on Alt and drag my image, and I'll make another copy. I'll shift these a little above so that you can see. Okay. I'll select the first image, go to Effect. From the Photoshop effect, I'll click on Glass. So when that happens, you can see there's one filter applied on top of the skull. So of course you can play around with these options right here. You can decide how smooth you want or how distorted you want the glass effect to be. Just play around with this and you will see the effect provided. Right, scaling is done. Make this a little bit more distorted like that, and yeah, that looks good, and we click on OK. So this was the first effect, the glass effect. Now similarly, if we just double click on our image, we come to this image trace option right here. So if we click on this drop down box, image tracing presets, we can choose any of these options from here. If we click on 16 colors, you can see it becomes into kind of like a vector image, right? So the more the colors that there is, the more detailing there will be. So the maximum detailing is there in the 16 colors as it identifies 16 different colors. Similarly, if we click on just 3 colors, there's lesser detail and lesser amount of colors, right? And we'll leave it to the 3 colors. And for the last effect that I will be showing, we click on this image again, go to Effect, and from the Photoshop effect, I'll choose Crystallize. So as you can see, Crystallize provides the small cells type of effect right here. So the lesser amount, the lesser the value, the more detailing you will see. So since it's 7, if we click on 3, you can see there are very small cells right here, right? And that's it. So these were some of the effects provided by Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop. Now let's quickly save our document. We go to File and we go to Save As. So by default, our document will be saved as an Adobe Illustrator file. I highly recommend that we first save it in this format so that in case if we have to make any changes in our original document, we can do that by accessing our AI file. But this will actually help us save a lot of time and we do not have to make a new document each time, right? So once that's done, we can of course save it in a PDF format as well by clicking on Adobe PDF and clicking on Save. But in case if I want to save my document in a JPEG format, we can do that by going to File, Export and Export As. So again, by default, my document will be saved in this JPEG format and we click on Export. And that's it. So now, on this note, we come to the end of our video. I hope you found this video to be useful. And with a lot of practice, you will soon become familiar with all these tools provided in the effect option right here. So, thank you for watching and keep practicing.